Cheers.
Today we're in Surrey shooting with the Voigtlander 40mm f2 lens, which is actually Kon's lens.
And I also have a 35 1.4 Nikon lens, AIS, which I want to compare this 40mm to.
Spoiled for choice you are.
I know, it's a decision time and I have to choose one. And one will have to go. Not just about getting the depth of field and all that, but it's about getting the framing.
What do you use the 40mm for then? What's your purpose for it?
What I found good about 40mm is it doesn't distort as much 35.
Right.
And it gives you this nice wide look, but without distortion. You can get normally well-corrected lenses, but they're normally big and they're normally expensive. In terms of this, 40 is not too tight as 50, but it's just a little bit more tight than 35. And for me, it just works. It's something that I found interesting on 35mm format. Hello and welcome to Becky and Flower Show.
It's not flowers.
Ah, mushrooms, flowers, potatoes, patatas.
Okay, so the closest focusing distance, as you said, is 25 centimeters. Even at f5,
Yeah.
the shadow depth of field is quite pleasing.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, when you go so close, sometimes you have to really stop it down to something like f11.
Yeah, but I'm quite pleased with that. Nice.
Hello and welcome to Squatting with Becky.
This is, it's very good exercise doing close-up photography.
Because the hips don't lie. Becky, it's an egg box. Do they have like a contactless?
Okay, 40mm is not a focal length that I generally use. In fact, I've had 35s, 28s, 50s, but never a 40. So this is interesting to me, but my first reaction when I picked it up was, oh, that's a really nice focal length, because it just narrows your field of view enough that you kind of get rid of all the extra bits that you don't want out of the frame.
But you're a 35 girl on a film and digital full frame camera, so does it feel too tight for you?
Not so far. Actually, I quite like the amount of compression that it gives just by being that little bit longer. You wouldn't think that 5mm makes a huge difference, but sometimes 35 can feel a fraction too wide.
So now I'm going to get bokeh and the depth field. Okay, let's talk bokeh. We compared the both lenses at f2 aperture. So effectively the 40mm f2 is wide open while 35 1.4 is top down. Now on 35 1.4 the bokeh looks a little bit swirly, and on 40 f2 it looks a little bit more blurred, less swirly and more compressed, but I assume it's to do more with the 40mm focal distance than 35mm. So what we also tested for is chromatic aberrations or purple fringing, and both lenses definitely display that at f2. And I don't think that's, let's say, Voigtlander is better than Nikon, they're about on par. And then when it's down to about f2.8, f4, then they will eliminate completely. Talking about the sharpness, definitely 40mm is sharper. Now, it's not a significantly better again. So on film, you probably hardly notice the difference. It's normally for the landscape shots where you start to zoom in and look for the little details. And that's where the 40mm will show a little bit more definition. But comparing it, let's say, on your phone or even on your screen without being zoomed in, you probably won't notice any difference. But definitely 40 is just a little bit sharper than 35.
Obviously this is not a direct comparison because the 35 1.4 is not the same lens as a 40 f2. Nikon have a 35mm f2 that they briefly made, and I think it was just AI. I don't think they did a later version. It was a small run of them. So we don't really have a direct comparison in the Nikon range. And the 45mm 2.8 Pancake is, again, an entirely different lens. So this is more a filming of you deciding which lens is better for you. It's
a personal choice.
Yeah.
So who is gonna win? Dun, dun, dun. All right, for me, it is 40. I like 35mm. I'm normally a 35 person, but on 35mm format, coming from medium format, and medium format is what I shoot most of the time nowadays. So for me, 40mm just compresses the image a little bit. So it's a little bit wider than 50, but it's not as wide as 35, and that gives me the look on par with the medium format. In terms of this, it's also smaller and lighter. It's optimized for digital bodies as well as film bodies. Again, if you've got a higher resolution, something like 45 megapixel body, this lens will feel right on place compared to the 35mm. Now, 35mm 1.4 is fantastic lens. Obviously, if you need that extra shallow depth of field, then go for 1.4. Of course, it's difficult to shoot wide open with both of them. So at f2, it's very difficult to focus and nail the focus manually. The same as 35 1.4. 40mm will give you a little bit more contrast and 3D pop. This one's a little bit more neutral.
Yeah, I would actually say that the 35 1.4 works better for video work. If you're a videographer, we do get a lot of people working in the film industry, in the stop motion animation industry, who prefer the 35 because it is quite a neutral lens. And you do have that bigger control or greater control over the depth of field with it.
Yeah, for street photography, the throw on this lens, it's quite long for macro shots, but actually for anything from 1 meter to infinity, again, it's about 1.5 centimeters. So you can actually use the high focal distance if you need to, and focus quite quickly if you need to. I agree, for video work, this is good. Skin tone reproduction, again, is much better on this one. But again, if you shoot raw, you shouldn't have any issues with that. In terms of size and weight, you can see the difference. 40mm is a lot smaller and lighter. Again, for us street shooters shooting in the field of surveys, then it's probably a better choice. But both are great in its own fields.
So it's the 40mm for you?
It is a 40mm for me. It's definitely going to be an upgrade for me, and I think I finally found the one after years of searching.
The chosen one. Thank you very much for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe.
You know, if you feel super generous, there's a super thanks button as well, so just hit that and makes us happy.
That's right, and if you are looking for a Voigtlander lens, Grays of Westminster are a stockist. We stock the 40mm f2 lens, so you can purchase it using a link in the description box. It would be greatly appreciated.
And surprisingly, we ourselves use Voigtlander lenses as well, and that's all you need to know about the quality of Voigtlander lenses.
That's right.